Happy Friday, I'm Rob Mack.
And I'm Jess Moye. Welcome to EverTalk live from Miami.
Yes.
Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. for all things happiness and Hollywood, pop culture, and positivity. Welcome to Miami.
I know. You loving it, Jess?
I am loving it. I needed a good excuse to get out of LA, and what better reason than the Job Boy Conference, Best in Yourself weekend.
Oh my gosh, just fantastic. I've met so many interesting people already, so many successful people, so many friendly people. It's awesome, yeah.
Super inspiring. I even had a chance to catch a conversation with John Nigerian himself after this fireside chat this morning.
Oh my gosh, I got to see that, Jess.
Oh, absolutely. It'll be, of course, on the training bell. Maybe we'll slide it into the episode too later in the show. But I love it here. It's totally a different vibe.
It is. I've always felt that way. I feel like every city has its own personality. How would you describe Miami?
Hot.
It's very hot. Yeah, it is.
Fire emoji.
Yes.
Red dress, dancing girl emoji. It's just something a little more spicy.
I know, it's true. I feel that way. And playful. I've always find Miami very playful, like the energy playful. I think it's just maybe it's the beach, maybe it's, you know, the South American influence, maybe it's the European influence. I don't know. We have all that in LA too. But there's just something special about Miami, and there's nothing against LA because I love LA, but they're very different cities, aren't they?
Completely.
Yeah.
Okay, so when was the first time you came to Miami?
Oh my goodness. I think it was like 2000 and maybe 2. Yeah, it was like, before that, I think maybe 2001-ish, 2000. And it was like right at the end of the golden era when like modeling was just right at its peak still. You keep the clothes, remember that, those days? You know, and they paid you good rates for the modeling gigs. And it was just amazing, you know, there was a lot of mom and pop stores, not a whole lot of chains. And it was just so much fun. I had a great time. This is your first time in Miami though, right?
Second.
Okay.
I came on spring break in high school.
Shut up.
I don't remember much of it. We had a really good time.
That's how you know it was a good time.
We had a really good time.
Yeah.
So it's really fun to be back.
It is super fun to be back. You know, it's interesting too. You know, I think Miami, kind of like LA, it's a kind of transient city, but there are some locals that I've just sort of stayed in touch with. So today we're going to talk to at least 2 of those. Melanie Whittle, Sarah Spiritual. Sarah is an incredible transformational coach and spiritual guide, and Melanie is in luxury real estate. She's a realtor, but she started out as a fashion stylist, really, for celebrities and luxury brands. So excited to have this conversation.
This one, his signature style.
She did. Man, she helped me out a lot. I mean, mood boards. I never even knew what a mood board was until I met Melanie. Did you? You probably did.
I'm hoping she'll mood board me.
Oh, Jazz, you are a whole mood all the time in the best possible way. You are, Jazz. You are.
Well, we're so excited to be in Miami. Again, thank you, Neil Green, for including us at the Job Boy Conference this weekend. Be sure to keep streaming. We've got more on EverTalk Live. Welcome back to EverTalk Live. We are beyond excited and honored to be a part of the Job Boy Best in Yourself.
Yes.
Thank you so much for inviting us here. This has been an incredible weekend.
It's been great to have you both here. Actually, your keynote was dead on. I mean, I couldn't believe it. Actually,
killed it, right?
It just killed it. And not only that, but the crowd. I mean, I know that you've had a lineup of people coming to talk to you afterwards, but we obviously expected that. That's why we invited you to come, and it was terrific. Great story.
Love that. Fantastic. So how do you feel? I mean, what an event. I'm just so amazed and inspired, Neil, by not only the sort of size of the event, but also the incredible people I've met along the way. How do you feel? I mean, is it a relief to sort of kind of be on the tail end of it? I mean, how are you feeling?
Well, in the light of what's going on out there, you probably heard a lot of conferences have been canceled, a lot of conferences have been disturbed, and attendance is down 50, 60%. I actually was worried about that, and our attendance is actually 25% higher than we expected.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. Actually, the attendance, you probably see, the place is bustling. There are people coming from all over, not only we have people from Brazil, we have people from Buenos Aires, Argentina, but even from Miami. The word's out, it's like you need to be at this conference. So even today, we've had a 30% swell in attendance. They actually called me from lunch telling me that we didn't have enough food.
Oh,
Think
wow.
about that. I seriously cannot believe we're out of food. So we actually had to take people down to the restaurant to have food because, I mean, I've never heard of that before, but that's what we've developed. I mean, it's tremendous.
That is absolutely spectacular. And it's been a roller coaster week in the markets, but it seems like spirits are really, truly high here.
And I think that's what it is. I think a lot of people are looking for some guidance. We have some great speakers talking about the market, obviously talking about the coronavirus, and here to talk about all sectors, whether or not it's real estate, credit, and I think people are looking for those updates, and that really is kind of a key element to what we deliver.
Just fantastic. So for you, Neil, in addition, of course, to Jesslyn Moyer, who's always a highlight for me and always a highlight for us, what's been sort of the highlights for you in terms of this event?
Just the quality of the people. We have some really notable names here. I mean, it's great to have, some NFL players. We got a sports agent that we talked to before. We've had some, notable names that we can't even really talk about. But ultimately, the names that you would see, they're household names. For them to come out and respect and obviously appreciate what we do, to me, is a blessing in disguise. So I appreciate that.
Just fantastic.
So the theme of the weekend, invest in yourself. What advice do you have to make a true good investment in yourself?
Yeah, so you're coming here on a Thursday and you're committing till Sunday. You're going away from your family. You're in meetings till 5, 6 o'clock tonight. Tomorrow you'll be in meetings again. The bottom line is that if you're going to commit to that and really just do it for fun, there's really no reason. So we want to make sure that the people that are here are going to get some value, whether or not it's a presenter on tax or legal or just a product that they can just understand and get something different. That's really what it's all about. It's just the whole flow of different varieties, like you said, about the market and what's happening with that. So
Love that. What's the best investment you ever made in yourself?
Best investment I ever made back in the day. I listened to all these tapes from Anthony Robbins.
Yeah.
And, I talked about, or he talked about, things with, how Kentucky Fried Chicken started and all these, these failures of all these successful people. They started things and they would never know that these, people in the Major League Baseball, whatever it's going to be, were all failures, right? And then they did something that was a turning point in their life that made them just come out and be successful. And I took that as, what? When you're young, and I started off on Wall Street, I was 18 years old. And of course, you're 18 years old, you don't know anything in the business, and you fail, and you think that it's never going to be what you do. Ultimately, I've listened, and I've learned to those tapes, and I've listened to other people that have been, my mentors. And from there, I just kind of always had that positive attitude, and it's kind of developed what I've, put together at this point.
Love that.
Well, thank you for being the thought leader that you are, the change maker, and curating this incredible event, Neil. It's really great.
Thank you.
Please remind everyone where they can find and learn more about Jabboy.
Sure. We have jabboyproductions.com is our website, or also on Instagram at Jabboy Productions.
Fantastic, brother. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
So much, man.
Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Happy Friday, live from Miami. Welcome back to EverTalk Live. I'm so excited for our next guest, really so honored. Sean Stellato is an NFL sports agent and an author, and he's just a great guy and super well dressed, if you haven't noticed. Welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you,
That's
brother.
very clean, man. I like that.
Hey, that's, I collaborate with a couple tailors, so.
Do you?
I always believe you look good, you play good, so.
This is true. This is true.
And you too, you're looking clean.
I appreciate that, man. I try to stay clean. I got to keep up. So talk to me a little bit. I'm always interested. I want to start where you first sort of began your journey. You work as an agent now, okay? You're an author now. You got kids, you got a family, you got a full, happy, productive, successful life. But I want to know where all this started, how it all started.
The house started, there was 8 of us in a 3-bedroom house in Salem, Massachusetts. And one thing my dad taught me at a young age, he said, you're not going to be the wealthiest, you're not going to be the biggest athlete, but no one can ever outwork you. So I kind of took that nurturing and that work ethic seed that was planted and evolved from it. And I saw the movie Jerry Maguire in high school, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna have one day gonna have to stop playing sports. What can I do?
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a sports agent, so I played 2 Division I sports, played a couple of years in the pros, and
What sports did you play?
football and basketball.
Oh yeah, man,
so
that's intense.
It is very
Yeah.
intense. So grew up with, sports was a way for me to express myself and give me opportunities that I never would have had. And I evolved with sport and kind of transitioned that into the profession I'm in today. And when I operate with young men, it's, it's through primary source experience, not speculation. So I've been on both sides of the fence.
Oh, wow.
And you'll love what I do.
Yeah, fantastic, man. I'm always interested. I think, first of all, some of the greatest, not all, but some of the greatest agents were former athletes, right? And I love that you've had this experience and you have this love and affinity for sports, particularly basketball and football, but all sports. Talk to us a little bit about that. Like, I wonder what you learned from being an athlete that now works well in the profession that you're in.
First, never trust a coach.
Never trust the coach.
Never trust the coach.
Yeah.
Sorry, coaches that I played for. I will say my Pop Warner coach was the real deal. That's why he's.
Pop Warner is
he's validated in the book. But honestly, I would say as a player, the lack of the ride that you're on is you might have a setback.
Yeah.
And you got to learn to deal with that setback, turn that boulder into step over, crush it into small pieces of gravel and move forward. But the work ethic, the camaraderie, the chemistry, the core values, the character, those are all things that I kind of took off to the other side. And I was intense, in terms of how I trained, running ski resorts,
wow.
Catching bricks, doing all unorthodox stuff.
Catching bricks, but you don't hear that anymore.
No, you don't. And I did, the first time doing it, I did catch one right off the hairline and a couple stitches. After that, because catching bricks, the thing about it is all concentration, like catching a football.
Yeah.
If you literally don't take your eye off the ball, you won't drop a ball. But I had that kind of
school hard knocks right there,
yes,
bro.
without a doubt. So I kind of took that formula as a player, transitioned, and now making 400 phone calls a day, or having 15 meetings in a day at Indy at the Combine, being the most persistent nag in terms of trying to get my guys, get them employed or get them paid. Those are the things I take pride in. But my job, I tell everybody, it's like the Tower of Terror.
Oh, yeah.
You are up one day, and you literally could be low the next day.
Oh, yeah. It's the best and worst, right? At the same time, often, maybe within the same day, the same week. I find that fascinating. I love your resilience, man. And you also have incredible energy about you. You know what I mean? Really. And you're a personable guy, and you seem to take a very genuine interest in people, right? And I think that, of course, makes you also great at your job. What would you say you've learned and that you know now as an agent that you didn't know, let's say, when you first started?
Two things I learned from one of my mentors: be curious, do not be judgmental. Because it's almost like negotiating. You want to put yourself in the opposing party's shoes. What are they looking for? So sometimes you deal with people right away. I'm always never judge a book by its cover, because I get that a lot when I do book signings. But I would say that and the emotional attachment to the athlete. Sometimes I care so much about branding my guys, getting them paid, and really developing a holistic approach for them to do things like this and to leverage the platform that sometimes guys get short-term memory, and it is a very competitive industry.
Right.
So that's the thing I'm trying to work on, because you lose a client and it hurts. But at the end of the day, I never question the man above, and I just want to continue to have input, angelic brothers and sisters in my life, and be able to do what I love. It's like, I'm sure you love what you do.
Oh, for sure. I mean, and you can have a greater appreciation, I think, for what you love when you spent so much of your life doing stuff you didn't love.
Yes, that's true.
Helps, right?
I, as a broker, when I was on Wall Street, I used to make 600 phone calls a day, and I'd be in my chair at 4 a.m. And I'd say making $250 a week. And, but that humbled me, it kept me. But even as an agent today, I don't change my tactics when I had no clients to when I have 17. It's just...
See, that's critical, I think. You're absolutely right about that, because sometimes when things go poorly or they don't go as planned, you might change your strategy or approach, thinking that, you got to do things differently, or you lose the motivation, you lose the drive. But you've obviously learned through sports and through other careers that it's important to just stay the path.
I always say you got to stay resilient. That's one of I like to say my middle name. Because two things might define you at any age: your work ethic when you have nothing, and your attitude when you think you have everything.
Look at you dropping dimes right now.
I'm trying, man. I just want to be able to get up to Hollywood and do some things out there.
You're already doing it, man. So I love this. And speaking of quotes, speaking of great lines, talk to us a little bit about the books. You got several books here.
I got
No Backing Down. You got Football Magic here.
Well, the No Backing Down book, it's kind of a concoction of Friday Night Lights meets Remember the Titans with Rudy.
Oh, man, dude.
And I'm excited. The writer, producer, he's getting near of a completion on the movie script. And that's been endorsed by some of the biggest names in sports. They validated it, from Coach Belichick to Doug Flutie.
Probably never heard of Mike Ditka.
Mike Ditka, Evander Holyfield.
Oh, man.
So the third edition's going to be released draft night.
Oh, wow.
And Coach Sean Payton with the Saints and Coach John Harbaugh, they stepped up and endorsed. The kids' book I'm real passionate about, because I felt like as a kid, having dyslexia, I had a very...
You had dyslexia?
Yeah,
really?
very challenging for me to read and to comprehend, but have something strike a chord. So it was a no-brainer when my daughter Gianna came down with juvenile arthritis and lupus. I said, gee, what can we do to bring awareness to this? She said, Daddy, let's write a children's book. Took her passion for ballet, mindful football, intertwined them, and created a story that's kind of like Friday Night Lights meets Harry Potter. But if there's one word to define football magic, the narration of it is hope. And I think as an adult, and when you read it, it'll take you through nostalgia. Single parent, parent in the military, losing a parent, just the magic of being a kid and the innocence of seeing a snowflake fall. Because as we get older, we're all victims of taking things for granted.
Totally.
And we get out of touch with those special moments.
Yeah, gosh, I love so much of what you said there. And the one thing I keep thinking about, and it brings us back to the conversation you and I had last night off camera, which was about Kobe, man. I think, so many of us were hit so hard by the loss of Kobe Bryant and his daughter, right? And I know that hit you especially hard for a number of reasons. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I obviously got to keep a certain relationship with athletes and not being starstruck. And but Kobe's situation, Kobe in particular, we're both the same age. We both won a state championship in basketball. Both met our future wives in 1999, our soulmates. Both had 4 daughters.
Wow.
Both had 4 daughters with Italian names. Both had a 13-year-old named Gianna.
Wow.
And both wrote a children's book.
Dude.
So I felt like when he passed and that happened, a part of me it really hurt. And I shed tears, and I opened up some talks, a moment of silence for him. And I'll continue to carry it forward. A part of Kobe Bryant will always be with me and his daughter, because that was horrific. What Kobe did, people won't do if they live to be 400.
Yeah.
And I just pray that he's up in God's kingdom with her, and that his kids can be his legacy.
No doubt, bro.
And no one will ever forget Kobe Bryant.
Absolutely.
Or Gigi.
Absolutely love that.
Yeah.
So one last question, just in terms of the legacy he left behind, the things that he's inspired you to live up to or be in your life, what would you say you're most inspired to sort of take from his life and live going forward?
Yeah, great question. Be the best I can be, and really just having daughters. We live in a world that, let's say it's chauvinistic.
Yeah.
Sometimes women look what they can and can't do, and just make sure that I can be the best that I can be, from a dad to a husband to a agent to a Christian, and help people and just help carry it forward, and just continue to honor Kobe with doing work that he'd be proud of. My one wish would have been for Kobe Bryant to have been able to read that and endorse it, because it would have. He defines what no backing down is all about.
Absolutely. So where can everybody find the books?
And
find you online?
I appreciate that. So my website is SeanStellato.com. Books are on Amazon. The sequel is going to be released probably sometime in August. It's kind of like a sports treasure hunt mystery. And Blaze is introduced, so we love our diversity. And they can find them there. You can follow me on Instagram at Sean Stellato SES, or on Twitter at Sean Stellato. And we got unique stories and what we're doing. I'd love to hear from you. And
Absolutely.
If you've got dreams, you really need to read these books.
There it is, brother. I love who you are and what you do, man. Appreciate
Thank you, brother. Thank
Absolutely.
you.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Live from Miami. Welcome back to EverTalk Live. I'm Rob Mack. So excited to welcome our next guest. He is a tight end for the Carolina Panthers, Chris Manhertz. What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. We've got big hands, bro. Let me tell you right now, like wrap around me.
lion paw.
Yeah, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm so interested, man, because not only, of course, extraordinary athlete, but I want to hear about your journey to like being where you are today. So take us back. Like, when do you remember picking up football? I mean, you played multiple sports, but when do you remember first, like, becoming and falling in love with like sports in general? Do you remember?
Oh man, as early as I can remember, maybe 5, 8 years old.
Yeah.
Basketball was my first sport growing up, and throughout my life up until now, I've been used to sports being a focal point in my life. So,
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Bronx, New York.
Okay. Oh, Bronx. BX. Okay. So fell in love with sports like 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, right? And at that point, it was basketball mostly, or was it?
Right.
Yeah.
It was basketball up until the age of 22.
22. Okay. Favorite basketball player at that time? Do you remember?
Kevin Garnett.
Really, Kevin
Yep.
Garnett? What did you love about Kevin Garnett?
Just his intensity, his passion, and what he brought to the game. It was one of those things that was unmatched at that time, and one of those things that made him very special in the league player.
That's what's up. So, fell in love with basketball, huge Kevin Garnett fan. You continue living your life, and at some point, you also start playing football.
Yes.
Okay, so talk to me about that.
At the conclusion of my senior year, the Buffalo Bills reached out and gave me a tryout.
Yeah.
Kind of kick the tires in and see if my skills match my natural God-given ability. And obviously, there was some work to be done initially, but they were one of the first teams to give me a chance, and I just took it and ran with it.
Wow. So, what was that experience like? I mean, you were at Canisius, right? Okay, and you're playing Division I basketball and Division I football.
No,
Or
just Division I basketball.
Division I basketball. Okay. And when the Bills contacted you, I mean, what was that like? Were you expecting that? Was that totally unexpected?
No, 100% unexpected.
Yeah.
Honestly, thought it was kind of a prank or something.
Did you?
Initially,
It's like Oprah's on the phone.
Right,
Yeah.
because it was one of those unforeseen things that I didn't anticipate happening.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm glad that it happened because I wouldn't be here today without that opportunity.
No doubt. So take us through this. So you get the phone call, and then what happens after the phone call and after you basically went to meet with the folks? and then
Yep,
what happened?
I get the phone call and I get invited for a workout, so I'm like, hey, why not?
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
You know, I have nothing to lose, and if all else failed, my mentality was that I would have went back to basketball, but thankfully, you know, it's been upward climb. It's been going well.
It's going real well, yeah. I can tell by the blazer you got on, man. It's going all right. Happy to hear that. So it's been going on. Talk to me a little bit about the experience like of being a professional athlete. I think every kid, I know I did. I wanted to be a professional basketball player more than I even wanted to live, man, quite frankly. And I think most kids, you know, that grow up playing sports, they want to be a professional athlete, you know. And some of them are aware that it's probably not going to happen. Some of them are aware that it could possibly happen. Then for lots of us or some of us, it does happen. So in what ways has the experience either met your expectations or even exceeded your expectations?
Well, I was raised in an environment where education came first and foremost. Basketball was nothing. Basketball and football, sports in general, was nothing more than a vehicle to me to get to where I needed to go. And I look at that no different in terms of being in the space in the NFL. Obviously, the NFL stands for not for long, and while we're playing, it's a continual process to put ourselves in position to sustain and have future success. So I just use it as a vehicle.
Yeah. So along this journey, who has inspired you the most, like in your personal life? Is there anybody specific that's like always been the encourager, always been the person that supported you along the way, or has it always just been you?
No, I think I give a great deal of credit to my family, my parents, and my brothers, and everybody that has been there every step of the way. You know, I wouldn't be here without their encouragement and obviously their influence in my life.
Yeah. What's the greatest dream you have for yourself?
I would love to own a business today. I would love to you know, my biggest goal at this point in my life, just thinking forward, is I want to employ as many people as I can. That's my mindset now, and obviously I'm playing football, but you know, those are the brewing thoughts that's always in my head.
Yeah, I feel you on that. So what would you say is the most challenging part and the most rewarding part now of your life?
Of my life, I would just say consistency.
Yeah,
I think for anybody, maintaining that consistency, it's easier said than done, but that's one of the key qualities that separates good people from great players. And remaining consistent, you know, keeping it going and staying hungry is one of those things that you have to force yourself to do.
Yeah, that's what's up. So do you still play basketball at all now and then?
Not as much as not as much. No, not good.
Not
it
good?
never was good. So
no, it was okay, but the jumper's not good. But you can still post them up, I bet.
Right,
6'6", right? 6'6".
Right. Just use my frame. That was maybe 30 pounds ago, but I think I still have a little bit left.
Yeah. Do you still watch the game?
Yeah, I love basketball.
You got any favorite players right now?
LeBron
always,
Steph
right?
Curry,
Yeah.
James Harden.
Oof.
The top guys.
I know, dude. The top guys, man. Well, I'm so excited about your journey, man. I so appreciate you coming on the show, and I'm looking forward to continuing big things from you, man.
Thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
Chris. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. Keep streaming. We'll be back.